I'm here. Oh, can't do that too much. My arm is killing me. Oh, all right. We're on block 11 and 12 this week. And it should go pretty fast. You should be getting the hang of it. If you have any questions at all on any one of the Studio 180 rulers or blocks that I'm showing you throughout this quilt, just post them and let me know. But they've been going pretty fast and pretty easy. I like working on a couple of blocks a week. Gives me time to work on my Lakeshore Hosta at the same time. Ooh. So, ow. I was a human pincushion yesterday. I got 4 shots, one in each arm and one in each leg, and I'm hurting. It hurts a lot. I didn't sleep really well last night. Oh, yeah. So, after this class, we're not going to have another class until March 1st. Next weekend being Valentine's Day weekend, I'm going to take that off because I have to pack for my retreat, and I'll be at retreat the following weekend. So this is it for a couple of weeks, which if you haven't caught up on your blocks, it's a great time to get caught up on your blocks. Let me know as soon as you're here. And I'm going to get started, I think. Oh, anyway. All right, let's get going. So right now we're working on block 11. And the first thing that we have to do is do these corner pops. So we've done this before, but I'm going to show you again just to make sure. We start with our half square triangle. And we're going to put the darker fabric on this side. So, and it's a 1.5. I think it's a 1.5. Hold on, let me just double check, make sure. Yeah, 1.5. So I've got the 1.5 mark on the bottom and our diagonal line right here. And then I'm going to cut. Now this was a square that I just cut once diagonally in half to use for our triangle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the triangle on right sides together, and I'm going to sew it from the back side. That way I can see both of my door gears and just eyeball them to make sure that they're somewhat the same. Now I'm going to iron the triangle out, and then we're going to square it up with the corner pop ruler and clean it up. I forgot to heat up my iron. All I can say is I'm glad my really, really sore arm is my non-dominant arm, because I'd have a hard time ironing and doing everything that I'm doing with a sore arm. All right. So now we've got this ragged dog ear, and we're going to use this corner now, which is all these diagonals. And we're going to line up the 1.5 inch, which is what we've already used to cut the corner pop, right underneath. At the same time, we want to make sure that the edge of the ruler here and here line up with the edge of our block. There you go. Now the corner pop is done. So what we're going to do here is make a pinwheel with our 4 corner pop units in the center. I'm not going to show you the flying geese because we've already done that a number of times. And we're going to sew these together, which are just our half square triangles and solid blocks. And then we can sew the whole block together. So I'm going to start here first and sew these together. It's not too much. I don't pin. The key thing here is making sure you sew on the right side of these blocks. And that's why I laid the block out on the table and only pick it up a couple of pieces at a time. And then I lay them back down. That way I know I'm sewing them correctly. Now I'm going to sew this, iron this, I should say, towards the more solid unit here. And if you iron both halves the same way, they'll create a sandwich and the seams will butt up against each other with no issues. Okay. Now I'm going to sew this flying geese onto our corner pop unit, and I am going to sew it from the flying geese side. And what I'm going to do to align these is I'm going to put the pin right in the tip of this flying geese, and then 1/4 inch from the edge of the corner pop parts. Now I'm going to sew it together from this side so that I can make sure when I sew, here's my X, that I'm on this side of the X, the top side of the X, not here. That way I won't cut the point off my flying geese. Can you see the X? So I want to make sure I sew 1/4 inch and I'm on within a thread's width on this side of the X. Let's see. There we go. And I didn't cut my point off. Now, for this one, I am going to iron towards my flying geese side. All right. Now we're going to sew these two sections together. When you ironed it this one down and this part up. That way, when we put them together, they will nest together and both seams will just butt right up against each other. There you go. Hard to see where the seam is on this one, so I will sew it just a scant 1/4 of an inch, and if I have to bring it in more, then I will sew it a little bit more. And this is what I mean by it's hard to see. I know I want to be down here, but I can't see both sides at the same time. Not bad. Actually, I did it a scant 1/4 of an inch, and now I'm going to do it a real 1/4 of an inch. But if I'm not sure, I always sew a scant 1/4 of an inch. Pretty. Now for this one, I think I'm going to iron this seam open. I think. Let's see, what do the directions say? Yep, iron it open. The reason we're doing it open is there's a lot of points coming into the center, and by ironing the seams open, you cut down on some of the bulk. If you have to sew from one side of the seam to the center, I mean, not sew, iron from one side of the seam to the center and then turn your block around and sew the other side. I find that it's easier that way, and I don't iron my other already ironed seams in the wrong direction. And then I turn it around, spray some starch, just press, and iron it again. Now, here we go. We have to do one of these sections on this side. So I'm going to start with my little bow tie. I've got a half square triangle and a solid, and a half square triangle and a solid. And we're going to sew these together real quick. Now the trick for doing the bow tie is I iron all of my seams towards the solid block. That will automatically make sure that they're opposite. There we go. Both seams are opposite. They will nest together nicely. The top seam is going towards the right, the bottom seam is going towards the left, and they will butt right up against each other. Stop with my needle down in the seam before I take my pin out. Readjust the two pieces and then finish sewing. Now this one, I ironed it by making the little pinwheel. Whoops, wrong way. Come on. Sometimes it just does not want to. I find sometimes you have to undo a stitch or two in that top very start of your piece, and then it will iron down nicely. Right. See how we've got that nice little 4-patch pinwheel? Now we just have to iron or sew these on. I don't pin these. Oops. Let's try it again. One side. I ironed these towards our flying geese. Oops. Sometimes I forget what I'm doing. It's been one of those weeks, let me tell you. Being turned into a pin cushion and just being very, very off all week long. It wasn't pretty. All right. Now we've got our 3 pieces, and it's really easy because of how we already have ironed our seams to just butt these 2. But first, I want to pin this section. So I'm going to go into the tip of our flying geese and 1/4 inch in the seam. now, all I have to worry about is button these two seams. Let's see. And then I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. There we go. Every time I use my cutter, not every time, but almost every time, it cuts the thread too short. That's one side. Now I gotta do the other side. All right, let's see what we've got. Lovely. Didn't cut off any of my points. Let me just iron it real quick. There you go. Now I got to set up for block 12. Oops, where is it? Sorry. This is what happens when you're working on multiple quilts at the same time. Okay. This one here, you're definitely going to want to make sure you lay everything out because it does get a little confusing with your pieces. Okay. This is going to be block 12. I started with sewing these. None of these parts are anything that you haven't done already. All it is half square triangles and flying geese. And this one here is square and a square, which we've already done. So all I'm going to do is sew these together, these two half square triangles, and I line them up where the fold is. I don't even pin them. Oops, sorry, Miss Nola heard something. Nola, lay down. Oh, sorry about that. Hopefully she'll calm down a little bit. Yes. I iron these two open, the seam open. Lola, go lay down. All right. This one goes here. No, sorry. This way. This is why I said you really need to make sure you lay it out. Now this one is going to sew it on this side, and this one's going to sew on this side. See how all of the medium color and the dark colors are together? Go lay down, Nola. Almost done. Go lay down. Oops. I'm going to iron these seams out. Go lay down. Go lay down. Okay. Now we're going to sew these two together. Sew them together into here, and then we have our two outside rows, and we'll be done. So I'm just, when I sew these together, I look at it from this point and make sure my seams lined up. I don't pin. I just hold it and then go over to the machine and sew it. Nola, get out of here. She's underneath my foot, my table. Go lay down, Nola. Come on. Go lay down. Go. 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 Ay, Miss Nola, you've been a pain in the butt. Okay. Now this one, I did iron this seam open. All right. Now We have to line just this one seam up. And in order to do that, I'm going to put a pen right in this point and a 1/4 of an inch down on this side. And then I can take my pin out and sew it together. Nice, huh? There you go. Now this one I am ironing down that way. Almost done. All right, now we're ready to put this part on. And I'm gonna line it up from the back so I can see my square and the square point. So I'm gonna put a pin right in the tip of that point, and then in the tip of this point. And these two seams should butt up against each other. There we go. I want to make sure I don't cut off this point here. And we're going to iron this seam out. Actually, I'm going to iron it in. I'm sorry. In towards the center. Oh, this looks nice. I didn't cut my points. Very nice. Very, very nice. This is the one we just sewed. Now, make sure, yep. I'm gonna put this side on. And I'm gonna butt this first seam up. And butt the last seam up. And then this one, I'm going to put it through the point here. And 1/4 of an inch in the seam there. There we go. Do the same thing here. So we'll butt these two seams up, the first one and the last one. And the point right there. And 1/4 of an inch in the seam here. Lay it flat. And put a pin, and we're ready to sew. Nola, be quiet. One more seam, Nola. And then you can go out, okay? Sorry, everyone. I'm going to sew the other side. And our block will be done. All right. Both of these seams are ironed out. Just double check, make sure I didn't mess anything up. No, it's actually, well, I got a little bit off here. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this one part. You can see it's off a little bit, but it must have moved, so I'm okay with that. There you go. Before I iron it, I will fix that one little part right there. They didn't butt up against each other correctly. But other than that, that's your block 12. The rest of these are pretty good. Just one boo-boo. Like I said, I'm not perfect either. So we've got 2 weeks off now. Our next class is not until March 1st. because next weekend is Valentine's and I will be on retreat the following week. So I need some time to get packed and get ready. And this way you can spend Valentine's with your sweetheart. I hope you guys have a lovely weekend, the rest of your weekend. You know where I am if you need me. And if you have any questions at all, have a great day.